I guess when the blueprint for a country's future looks less like a budget and more like a tactical manual for systemic collapse, it's time to stop looking at the podium and start looking at the library. Hey Canada, it's Earl. A follower of mine, Tom Paisley, asked for the nitty-gritty on the Cloward Piven strategy, the full, detailed architecture of how you break a nation from the inside out. And more importantly, how the names Diana Fox Carney and Frances Fox Piven fit into a puzzle that seems to be coming together right in front of our eyes as of April 19, 2026. To understand today, you have to go back to 1966. Two Columbia University sociologists, Richard Cloward and Frances Fox Piven, published an article in The Nation titled "The Weight of the Poor: A Strategy to End Poverty." It sounded noble, right? But the strategy wasn't about helping people, it was about overloading the system. They argued that the current welfare system was designed to keep people poor and manageable. Their plan was to mobilize a massive wave of people to claim every single benefit they were technically entitled to. They knew the bureaucracy couldn't handle the volume. So, by intentionally breaking the bank, they wanted to create a crisis so massive, a total fiscal and administrative collapse, that the government would have no choice but to replace the entire capitalist structure with a guaranteed annual income, what we now call Universal Basic Income, or UBI. In short, you crash the car so you can force the insurance company to buy you a bus pass. Now, let's talk about the lady herself. Most people think of Piven as a purely American radical, but check the birth certificate. Frances Fox Piven was born in Calgary, Alberta. While her family moved to the US when she was young, her intellectual influence has circled back to Canada in a massive way. Piven wasn't just an academic, she was an activist. She co-founded HumanServe, which led to the motor voter laws in the US, a way to automatically register people for voting when they apply for social services. Why? Because the strategy requires a permanent, dependent voting bloc to keep the crisis politicians in power. Now, this is where the dark side goggles come off. People ask, is Diana Fox Carney, the PM's wife, a follower of Piven? Diana Fox Carney is a high-level expert in institutional resilience and sustainable development. While Piven focused on the weight of the poor, Diana's work focuses on the weight of the climate. Piven's model says, use a social crisis to force a guaranteed income. Diana's work, and the work of the Meridian Group we talked about, says, use a climate crisis to force a guaranteed green transition. Both strategies rely on centralized control. Whether it's Piven's welfare rolls or Diana's sovereign cloud and carbon-indexed economy, the end result is the same. The individual loses power to a central core that manages the crisis. If you look at the last 5 years, it looks like a Cloward-Piven checklist is being checked off in real time. A. The immigration overload. The fact. We have seen record-breaking immigration levels that have outpaced housing starts by a landslide. This isn't just bad planning. By flooding the system, housing, healthcare, and education, you create a manufactured crisis. When the system breaks, the government doesn't apologize. They announce the Building Canada Act to take more control over provincial land and private housing. B. The fiscal cliff. The fact. Federal debt has skyrocketed, and interest payments are now eating up more of the budget than healthcare. The Piven twist. You spend so much that the currency devalues. When people can't afford groceries, you don't fix the spending. You offer a grocery rebate or a carbon tax dividend. You make people dependent on the very system that caused the inflation. That is the Cloward-Piven dependency loop. See Maple Core and the digital ID. The fact. The new sovereign cloud and Maple Core system are designed to track every transaction and every benefit. The Piven twist. Once the system is overloaded and everyone is on some form of government assistance, you need a digital ledger to manage it. You've traded your sovereignty for a digital coupon. Guys, this isn't just a Canadian thing. From the US border crisis to the energy lockdowns in Europe, the strategy is the same. Overload, collapse, rebuild. J.D. Vance's warning. This is exactly why the US Vice President is holding those Maple files. The US sees Canada as a test lab for this global Piven-style transition. They see the Meridian Group plans as an attempt to prove that you can move an entire G7 nation into a managed UB-style economy by breaking its traditional industries first. I'm not here to pick a side. I'm telling you to look at the math. If you intentionally overload a bridge, it will fall. If you intentionally overload a country's social fabric, it will tear. Frances Fox Piven gave them the playbook in 1966. The old guard and the global bankers have just updated the language for 2026. They don't want to fix the problem. They are the problem, and the crisis is their greatest tool for taking your freedom. You don't need a link to a secret file to see what's happening. You just need to open your eyes. Thanks for watching. Stay awake.